Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine an AI that doesn't just process data or follow a script, but genuinely understands you.
Yeah, understands your context, maybe even,
Yeah,
well, the structure of your thoughts. It's a pretty big idea.
it really is.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we're diving into today. We got this source material here about a company called ThetaDriven.
Right, theta-driven. And their very ambitious new project, the Un-Robocall.
The Un-Robocall, yeah. The name itself kind of signals they're trying to get away from those awful, badly timed calls we all hate.
Definitely. The claim here is about a big shift. They're moving towards respectful interruption, interactions timed perfectly to actually be useful for you.
And the tech behind it. Something they call the Fractal Identity Map. FIM.
FIM, exactly. They're positioning that as the key, the engine for a much, much deeper level of AI understanding than, what we typically see now.
So our mission for this deep dive then, let's try and figure out what this map of thought thing actually is.
How it supposedly works, yeah. And where theta-driven thinks it can go.
Plus, they have this unique early access offer we need to look at.
And maybe most importantly, what are the real potentials here? But also, what are the significant risks this kind of tech might present for you?
Right. Let's start with the basics. What's the problem they're even trying to solve? Why do we need this?
Well, we've all felt it, haven't we? Current AI interactions, they often feel generic.
Impersonal.
Yeah, impersonal, or it pops up at exactly the wrong moment, interrupts you when you're busy. It just misses the context of what you're doing. It
Yeah.
feels disconnected.
Disconnected, that's a good word. And the source material brings up this interesting idea linked to that. Drift.
Ah, yeah, drift. They argue that humans can drift off task, obviously, but that current AI models can also drift away from goals or even reality.
Grift. Like the AI just sort of veers off course,
Mm,
loses the plot.
pretty much. The sources give examples like AI systems may be losing track of key priorities in a task or miscalculating things in complex situations.
Like assessing insurance claims, they mentioned.
Exactly. A system that's meant to weigh different factors in a claim could drift if it loses the bigger picture, the overall context of that claim or what the user is actually trying to achieve.
And why does this happen? What's the reason current AI struggles like this?
The sources suggest it's because many current AIs rely on these sort of linear chains of thought, like following steps in order.
Okay, so like a sequence, step one, step two, step three.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really grasp the whole picture or how things change dynamically.
That's the argument. That kind of linear processing, it struggles with the messy, interconnected way human thought works or how real-world situations unfold. And that leads to the poor understanding, the awkward timing, and this drift issue.
Okay, so the problem is this drifty, awkward, kind of generic AI experience. What's data-driven's big solution then?
Well, their headline solution is the Un-Robocall. The name says it all, really. It aims to be the exact opposite of those annoying automated calls.
Built around respectful
You're
interruption.
right. That's the core concept.
Respectful interruption. Sounds nice, but how does it actually work? What do the sources say?
It apparently starts very discreetly. You'd get a text preview first, giving you a heads up about the interaction.
Okay, so you can just ignore it or decline it easily.
Yeah, accept or decline. If you accept, then the AI steps in, and its goal is to ask you, and this is their phrase, the one insightful question you need to hear.
The one insightful question. That's incredibly ambitious.
It is. And it's not just what question, it's when. The timing is supposedly crucial.
Ah, right. That was the other part. The right questions at the perfect time. That's the key feature they're pushing.
Precisely. And this is enabled by something they call the precision timing algorithm.
Precision timing algorithm. Okay, that sounds technical. Is it like synchronizing computer clocks?
Yeah.
PTP, precision time protocol, that kind of thing?
Good question. PDP is definitely about precise timing, getting system clocks synced down to tiny fractions of a second,
Yeah.
which is vital for lots of tech infrastructure. But the source material is pretty clear that theta-driven's algorithm is doing something very different. It's not about network synchronization.
Okay.
It's about figuring out the optimal moment cognitively. When will a question or an interaction actually land well for you, given your mental state, your context?
Ah, I see. So it's trying to judge the best psychological moment, not just the technically precise millisecond. That sounds way harder than syncing clock.
Oh, vastly harder, yeah. It implies needing to model someone's internal state, their receptiveness. That's really pushing the boundaries of what current AI typically attempts, especially with this level of claimed precision.
So how on earth do they propose to do that? What's the magic tech that enables this perfect timing and these insightful questions.
And that brings us right to their core concept, the Fractal Identity Map, the FIM.
Yeah.
This is what they're calling the map of your thought.
A map
Yeah.
of my thought. Wow. That sounds incredibly personal, maybe even a little unnerving.
It's definitely positioned as something very deep, very fundamental. And they explicitly contrast it with those linear chains of thought we talked about.
Right, the step-by-step processing.
Yeah. Instead of just a sequence, the FIM supposedly creates a dynamic, non-linear map, like a landscape of your cognition. And the claim is this map provides a really profound contextual understanding.
Okay, dynamic, nonlinear. And the fractal part, does that mean it's using actual fractal geometry, like for generating complex patterns or an image compression?
The source material touches on that. It suggests that while the idea might draw inspiration from how fractals model complexity in nature or math,
Like coastlines or snowflakes?
exactly. But here, fractal seems to be used more as a, let's say, powerful metaphor. It's meant to convey the immense complexity, the self-similarity maybe, the interconnectedness of human thought that this map is attempting to represent.
Okay, so it's not like fractal ID for security logins or those patents using fractal patterns on objects. This is different. It's aimed at mapping cognitive processes.
Precisely. The focus is squarely on understanding thought structures, not physical identity or digital keys.
All right, so we have this idea, this map of thought. Why is building that so important? What's the big payoff beyond just getting a question timed right?
Well, one of the absolute biggest claims they make for FIM is that it makes the AI system not just smarter or more insightful, but also explainable, verifiable, and auditable.
Now that's huge. Because the whole black box problem with AI, where you don't know why it made a certain decision, that's a massive barrier to trust, right?
It's a fundamental challenge,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the source links FM directly to this growing need for verifiable AI for AI auditing. They point out, quite rightly, that heavily regulated industries,
Like finance, healthcare, insurance.
exactly, they need AI systems where you can understand the reasoning, systems that can essentially show their work.
So how does this MMAP actually provide that explainability? How does it work?
According to the source, the map of thought is the explanation. It's not something generated after the fact. The map itself is presented as a transparent, navigable guide to how the AI understands something or reaches a conclusion.
So you can trace the path.
That's the idea. They claim it can even show how the AI considered different options or weighed trade-offs. It's positioned as explainability by design, built in from the start, which is very different from trying to make sense of an opaque model afterwards.
Explainability by design. That's a key phrase. Okay, so if this femtech really works and is that powerful, where else could it be used? It sounds bigger than just this personal Un-Robocall thing.
Definitely. Well, the Un-Robocall is the initial application they're highlighting, focusing on making you feel understood.
The personal coaching angle.
Right. But the source material positions FIM as a much more foundational technology with really broad potential applications.
Okay, like what? What
Yeah.
specifics do they mention?
Well, they talk about enterprise AI, using FEM to help complex AI systems stay aligned with business objectives, preventing that operational drift we talked about.
Providing verifiable understanding for business goals.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's the regulated industries, again, finance, healthcare, insurance, using the FEM map to meet compliance standards by making AI decisions transparent and auditable. They even mention an illustrative diagram showing how you could navigate regulatory constraints using the map.
Interesting.
And they also bring up AI safety and ethics. The argument is that if you have systems that genuinely comprehend consequences and trade-offs because you can see their reasoning on the map, you can build more responsible AI.
So if these claims pan out,
Yeah.
and that's a big if,
Huge if.
we're talking about AI that's not just more capable, but potentially more understandable, more trustworthy, more aligned with what we actually want it to do.
That's certainly the vision they're painting in the source material. They describe FEM as enabling a qualitative leap beyond what current AI can do in terms of understanding context and timing.
A qualitative leap. Okay, let's shift focus for a second to the company itself, ThetaDriven. What do we know about them from the sources? Do they have a track record?
It seems they do have existing services. The material mentions AI-augmented tools primarily aimed at businesses, focusing on areas like company culture and HR.
HR tech, like what?
They list products like ThetaHire, ThetaCall, ThetaResponse, and they mention some underlying tech like VTR, which stands for Video plus Tap plus Response, and something called Neo-Emergent Reporting.
Video tap response. Neo-emergent reporting. That sounds more like tools for engagement, surveys, maybe analyzing employee feedback.
That's the impression, yes. More focused on interaction analytics and reporting rather than, mapping the fundamental structure of human thought.
Which does make you wonder,
Oh.
is this Un-Robocall and FIM thing just the next logical step for them? Or is it a massive pivot, a jump into really deep fundamental R&D?
That's a really good question. Based on how ambitious the FEM claims are mapping thought, explainability by design, it certainly feels like a venture into much deeper, more fundamental research territory compared to the HR tools described.
It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It does. It suggests a pretty significant strategic move, if that's the case.
And what about the team doing this deep R&D? Is there much info in the sources about who's actually building FEM?
That's a notable point the source brings up. It mentions that detailed information on the specific team leading the FEM in development, well, it isn't readily available in the materials we reviewed.
So that's kind of a question mark.
It's definitely something to keep in mind when you're assessing their ability to deliver on these, frankly, very big promises.
Okay, ambitious tech, a potential major pivot, limited detail on the R&D team. Now let's talk about how you, the listener, might actually get involved or try this out. They have this early pioneer program, right?
Yes, that's the main call to action presented. You can get on a standard waitlist or you can join this early pioneer program.
And the pitch for the pioneer program is what? Priority access.
Priority access, yes, and also the chance to actually co-create, to influence how this AI develops.
And they're definitely playing the scarcity card here, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. The source material really emphasizes that spots are limited. They give specific numbers, like only 422 of 500 spots remaining for the overall program, and then break it down further for different tiers.
Creating that FOMO fear of missing out.
Classic marketing tactic. It definitely creates a sense of urgency.
So what are the options if someone is interested? What tiers do they list?
Okay, there's a range. They mention a monthly priority waitlist for a recurring fee. Then there are beta tiers like an early access pioneer and a premium beta, which are one-time payments.
And these beta tiers give you more access, more input.
That seems to be the idea, yes. Increasing levels of early access and the ability to provide feedback as you go up the tiers.
And then there are even more exclusive levels.
Yes, they list what they call ultra-exclusive tiers, like a founder circle and a lifetime priority membership, at significantly higher price points.
Wow. Okay, and what do those offer beyond just early access?
These higher tiers are described as offering much deeper involvement. Things like direct input into the AI's design and logic, potentially even consideration for early equity, depending on the specific tier.
So the basic value proposition for pioneers is get in early, help steer the ship, and potentially get some unique benefits down the line.
That's essentially the pitch, yes. Be on the cutting edge, help refine this potentially groundbreaking tech, and get a first-hand look long before anyone else. They mention some undefined meaningful thanks as well.
Right. Okay, stepping back. How should someone realistically evaluate this kind of opportunity? It sounds exciting, but risky.
Very much framed as high risk, high reward in the source analysis, driven by this really compelling vision, amplified by the scarcity marketing.
If, and again, big if CamFame actually delivers on mapping thought and respectful interaction, it could be genuinely transformative for AI.
It could be. But let's be frank about the risks. What's the absolute biggest one?
Technical feasibility, surely.
Without a doubt. That's the elephant in the room highlighted in the source material. Can they actually create a dynamic, comprehensive map of thought? Is that even possible with current or near-future technology?
It sounds incredibly difficult.
It's fundamentally challenging, tackles problems in AI and cognitive science that are far from solved by anyone, let alone proven here. The claims are extraordinary, and right now they seem unproven by public demos or any external validation we've seen.
It sounds like they're claiming to have cracked problems that the biggest AI labs in the world are still wrestling with at a basic level.
That's certainly how the claims come across based on the description. And then there's the whole user acceptance side.
Right. Are you comfortable with an AI mapping your thought, even if it
Okay,
works?
exactly. What about privacy? Data security? The potential for manipulation if an AI understands you that deeply. The sources mention safeguards are needed, but the core concept itself raises huge ethical questions.
And we touched on this, but what about ThetaDriven themselves? Can they actually pull this off?
That's the execution risk.
Yeah.
Building something like FameForm needs immense expertise, serious funding, dedicated resources. We noted the lack of public info on the team.
Right.
And can they manage this massive R&D effort while potentially still running their existing business? It's a huge challenge for any company, especially ones seemingly pivoting into such deep tech.
Plus the competition. It's
Um,
not
uh,
like they're operating in a vacuum.
Not at all. The AI field is moving at lightning speed, with huge players pouring billions into research. Staying ahead or even just keeping pace is incredibly tough.
So given all that, how should someone think about joining something like the Early Pioneer program? Is it just throwing money away?
The source material kind of positions it as maybe the very first step in doing your homework, your due diligence.
Okay.
It's presented as a relatively low-cost way compared to, say, venture investing to get a direct first-hand peek. Does the early tech feel different? Does it show any spark of delivering on the promise? Maybe you get a chance to interact with the team.
So like kicking the tires on a very, very early prototype.
Essentially, yes, but it's still a leap of faith even at that stage given how big the claims are. The analysis underscores you'd still need to dig deeper, try to verify the tech somehow, understand the team's background, their funding, their actual roadmap.
Compelling vision, but huge execution risk and a massive technical question mark.
That sums it up pretty well.
Okay. So bringing this all together then, we've looked at theta-driven's big idea and AI using this fractal identity map
FIM, yeah.
to supposedly understand you deeply and interact in this perfectly timed, respectful, and crucially explainable way.
Right. It's a vision for AI that wants to jump way beyond just processing commands or predicting text. It's aiming for genuine comprehension of context, maybe even thought itself.
And they're not just talking theory. They're positioning this as tech that could really change your day-to-day experience with AI, making it less annoying, maybe more insightful, more helpful.
It really boils down to that question. Can AI make the leap from being just a functional tool to something that feels truly understanding? Something you can actually trust because you can see how it thinks.
Which leaves us, and you the listener, with some pretty deep things to ponder.
Definitely.
I mean, if an AI could genuinely map your thought process, what does that even mean? What are the real implications for your privacy, your autonomy? How might it change how you even think about your own mind?
Yeah, what happens if a machine in certain moments could understand patterns in your thinking better than you consciously do yourself? That's a profound thought.
And as these kinds of technologies, aiming for this deep understanding, start to emerge, what kind of future do you actually want to help build? Especially when we're talking about AI that aims to understand the very structure of your thoughts.